Welcome to the EPS podcast, where everything is a primary source. I'm Eric Paul, and this show is dedicated to bringing forward, analyzing, and discussing primary sources of different eras that are too often overlooked or dismissed. Interestingly, though, much of what this podcast aims to cover are items that people interact with all the time. Pop culture entries such as movies, albums, TV shows, trading cards, comic books, toys, games, the packaging of these items, food, fashion, etc. Because everything, if looked at a certain way, is a primary source. What is a primary source, though? It is a common word heard in my field, which is social studies education. But outside that discipline is not considered very often. Essentially, a primary source is from whatever one is studying, whereas a secondary source is about it. I oftentimes equate it to a news broadcast where you might have a storm or a crime scene or something like that, and a reporter and a camera crew go out to that spot and they report back to the anchor in the studio everything that they're seeing, hearing, all the environment around them. Those people are the primary source of that event. They're able to relate to the anchor back in the studio things that person can't possibly know. Everything that the anchor has is based on what others have compiled for them. So between the two, the anchor reading off of a teleprompter is the secondary source for a major storm or something that just happened either across the country or across town, whereas the primary source, that would be our reporter on the scene and the camera crew thereof. That's what makes primary sources so helpful in learning about different time periods, people, places, events, is that they speak to us from the thick of it. Sometimes intentionally, but oftentimes unintentionally. Traditional primary sources, consistent, easy to go to ones, include newspapers, diary entries, letters, things like that. And for good reason. They contain ready to find answers to all the questions one should ask when investigating a primary source. Who made it? What is it made out of? Or how was it made? Why did they make it? And for what purpose was it created? Things like that. Much can be gathered from these sources, but I find it a nagging doubt when looking at these kinds of sources. The authors of them, oftentimes to a certain degree, know that they're writing for an audience, not just in their own time, but beyond. And perhaps they're not as candid as we might think. That's why looking at things that weren't traditionally considered and aren't traditionally considered as part of these reports from the front lines can be informative of people, places, society, and culture beyond the usual suspects. This podcast will give electronics, documentaries, articles of clothing, websites, cartoons, even other podcasts, or maybe even this one, the same scrutiny as the newspapers, journals, and personal notes that usually get the exact same treatment. Each episode will feature me, a trained historian and a social studies teacher, breaking down movies, TV shows, music, print, digital media, etc., often with colleagues and friends, to figure out what they tell us about the time period and place they were made. Then we'll talk about the legacy of these things, and to what degree they have informed and influenced other areas of pop culture, the rest of society, and beyond. I hope you enjoy each coming episode of the EPS podcast, where everything is a primary source.